Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 0, a really frustrating game. You guys got my immediate reaction last night. Today we're looking at analysis. What actually went wrong and why was this such a frustrating game? And honestly, for me personally, the reason that I found this game so frustrating was because large parts, the first 45, as we said yesterday, was really promising. I thought we saw some really good football from Manchester United. I thought we saw some real control on the ball, an ability to progress the ball, get into the final third, create, and dominate the game in the first half. And it started with good play out from the back, where, to be honest, Crystal Palace didn't really start the game applying too much pressure up the pitch. They certainly weren't going in an intense man-for-man pressing system. They weren't really interested in that. So what United quickly looked to do was move to a back three on the ball. Something that we've seen quite a lot now in the last week or so. United shifting to this back three shape. And in this game, it was Mazraoui deeper on the right-hand side, De Ligt in the middle, and Lisandro Martinez on the left. Now, what Crystal Palace are going to do is sort of start off with a high block. And what they want to do is kind of match you up like this. And what they want to do is let you have the ball initially. But let's say you go into midfield and then you go backwards. That's then when they want to apply pressure. That's when they want to get a little bit closer to you. And that's what Crystal Palace were trying to do in this game. However, United prevented this with a really nice piece of intelligent movement from Diogo Dalot. You see, Nketiah here, the right forward, wants to go towards Lisandro Martinez to apply pressure. However, because Diogo Dalot started in this position here, and then would move narrow, it brought Nketiah a little bit narrower. And that potentially created room for Lisandro Martinez to then play in. And we've got an example of it here. Now, on this occasion, United have got a slightly different shape at the back, just as we're moving the ball backwards. But you can see Nketiah wants to go and apply pressure to Lisandro Martinez. You can see that is clearly the direction that he is heading in. However, he quickly checks his shoulder and notices that down the bottom here, we have a man going by the name of Diogo Dalot, who is quickly making the counter movement inside the pitch. And as a result, as Dalot moves inside the pitch, Nketiah becomes aware of him. And so aware, in fact, that he follows him all across the pitch. And what we can see now for Onana in goal, if he looks to the two sides of him, to his right and to his left, he actually has two centre-backs who are in a fair amount of room. And as a result, United could move the ball out from the back, past Crystal Palace, and fairly effectively towards the middle third. Now, once in the middle third of the pitch, Manchester United were essentially setting up in a 3-2 shape. You can see it here. This is 4 minutes 29 seconds into the game, and it's a rotational shape, because currently we have Diogo Dalot and Kobbie Mainoo operating as our double pivot. However, if we fast forward 15 seconds, Kobbie Mainoo has rotated a little bit higher up the pitch, Christian Eriksen has rotated a little bit lower, so our players are moving and interchanging position, but still, we are ending up with the same shape. This is a really good sign from Manchester United. The back three gives us good numbers in the first phase, the double pivot in midfield gives us options on the ball, but the important thing is here, Ten Hag is still applying his ideas of players moving and rotating, but we're still keeping a solid structure. We're keeping a solid foundation. However, what was really important for me was the positioning of Christian Eriksen. You can see Crystal Palace here have got that three who could still match up with our three, and they have the two in midfield which could match up also. However, Christian Eriksen caused problems because what he wanted to do was drop outside of the Crystal Palace shape. He wanted to pull into these kind of left back positions to give himself a little bit of time on the ball. Now, the Crystal Palace centre-backs, let's swap these over. The Crystal Palace centre-backs don't really want to be that aggressive. They don't want to go that far out of position. So as a result, someone like Adam Wharton suddenly got a decision to make. Does he go over to Eriksen and give Dalot room? Or does he stay tight to Dalot, but leave Christian Eriksen with a lot of room out wide? And we know from Christian Eriksen, you're going to get real passing ability, an expansive passing range, the ability to genuinely dictate the game from these deeper positions, and I often felt that he did that. We've got a glimpse of this here. You can see the back three from United, and then you can see the two in the centre of the park. However, you will notice at the bottom of the picture, we've got Christian Eriksen, with a lot of space in front of him. Now, on this occasion, United moved the ball a little bit too slowly. We don't actually manipulate the block particularly well. You know, perhaps we could have done something like this, where we move the ball quickly inside and go around the corner. We could have done that, but we didn't. We moved it a little bit too slowly. However, when we sped it up a little bit, there were moments, of course this is a little bit deeper, but there are moments where Christian Eriksen can pick up the ball and he's got time to move the ball up the pitch. And once again, this was a way in which United really gained territory in this game. But for me, the most important thing from here wasn't actually the shape we used or the way we moved the ball forward. It was the fact that we didn't rush it. This was really controlled. This was measured. This was Manchester United dominating the ball in the first half, completely controlling the game. And there was a moment which really captured this for me. It comes from Diogo Dalot at the moment. Manchester United win the ball back and have the opportunity to play forward fairly quickly, but Diogo Dalot recognises that United are not in their settled structure. They actually don't have a back three. So what he does is he screams at the player to slow the game down. He then points at his defenders, tells them to move into position, and then from there, United are willing to build again. That's a clear message. That was a clear message of intent in this game. We want to do it slowly. We want to control the game. We want to keep the ball. So that's a really good sign for United moving forward. It's a promising idea that we want to slow it down at times and manage the tempo. However, what is still good is that as we move forward, we're moving outside of Crystal Palace's block. We've spoken about the ability to progress the ball that United had in this game, but we're still creative in the final third as well, particularly as we try and get close to each other in these attacking areas. Xerxes going to drop deep and link the play. Again, I think he had a good game, dropping deep, getting on the ball, that bit of flair on the ball, but it's the silkiness with which he plays. He just brings players in around him. The issue really is that when you play against a back five who have got a 2 in front of them as well, and Crystal Palace are a good defensive side, they're disciplined. When you play against this sort of team and they're sitting deep behind the ball, because we're so dominant, it is difficult to find that final pass because the spaces are so tight. It can be difficult to work that opportunity. The frustrating thing is United actually created those opportunities. We were able to move the ball to one side of the pitch, kind of drag Crystal Palace over a little bit, and then what we're doing is switching the ball to the far side. Some of Garnacho's off the ball work was brilliant, his timing of run, and we had chances. We had 5 big chances in the first half that we missed. But overall, on the ball, it was extremely positive in the first half, and it was actually pretty good defensively as well. So when Crystal Palace were playing the ball out from the back, they done something which we predicted. We called it in our stream the other day on Friday afternoon. So make sure to join future streams, by the way. Subscribe so you don't miss them. But what Crystal Palace often done was move to a bit more of a back four shape. They could shift across like this, and then move like this. Now, the weakness that we really highlighted with Crystal Palace on the ball was that they want to play one way. They want to play towards the left-hand side because Guehi is their best ball-playing defender. The problem is, it makes them too easy to corner off. You can force them to one side of the pitch, and then when they're going to drop in, you can go man for man down this side. You can be aggressive like so, and because you've locked them off so easily, you can actually have a +1 at the back as well, or a +1 in midfield. So you can lock them off man to man down this side of the pitch. You can make it a small game over here, while still having cover at the back. And when Crystal Palace find themselves in this situation, they don't really have the backwards pass. It's not really an option because there's too many United players there. So they get forced to hoik it forward, where the key for United is being aggressive on the ball, being front-footed. If you could do that, we said you could stop Crystal Palace building up. And we saw that in the first half. They didn't have a shot until the 42nd minute. Not sure why we've got Garnacho on screen there. But United defended really well for the first 40 minutes of the game, and the high press was good. We can see it here. Dean Henderson plays towards his left-hand side. Now what is going to happen is United are going to move over, kind of curve the runs to make sure Crystal Palace keep going this way. And as this happens, Manchester United are able to lock the pitch off man to man. Garnacho now has an easy role. He's not really marking anyone. He's done his job. He's forced Palace one side. But United are able to lock it on man to man. And as a result, the player on the ball is eventually forced to play a slightly audacious pass. The Crystal Palace forward comes towards the ball, but importantly, our defender is right there. He's followed him all the way. I believe that's Mazraoui on this occasion. He's followed him all the way. He's been aggressive. He's won the ball back high. United regain possession. And from there, if you win the ball high and then slow the game down, you're going to dominate. And we saw that from United. There's another situation here. Once again, Crystal Palace have been forced one way. United then lock on man to man, forced a hopeful ball forward. And Lisandro Martinez competed really well in this game, as did De Ligt. And again, United were able to play strongly in this area. Again, defensively, it was genuinely really good. So what went wrong? So in terms of what went wrong for United as the game went on, it would be difficult and it would be wrong to pin it to just one thing. This was a collection of a few different things going wrong. So initially, Crystal Palace have now changed shape. They're in more of a 5-3-2 formation. So in terms of tactically, the spaces aren't as obvious for United. Whereas previously we had Eriksen pulling into this space, and that would leave room in midfield. That weren't the case anymore, because Crystal Palace are often able to give themselves the extra midfielder, so they closed off some of the space. So Crystal Palace improved in the second half. I also felt that they played with a greater intensity. They were a bit more willing to squeeze a little bit higher up the pitch to put United under pressure. The other thing Crystal Palace started doing in the second half was they, for large parts, abandoned the idea of playing out from the back. So whereas previously they tried to play out, United won the ball high, regained possession and got control, now it's a bit more hectic. The second you get a team going long, and United are inconsistent in the aerial duel, it gave Crystal Palace a chance on the second ball to get the ball down and play football. So that was a couple of the problems for United. It also felt that physically United declined. The United intensity was way off in the second half. I said in my video last night, it felt like United never really got going in the second half of the game. And that would be a concern, because we've had it quite a lot under Ten Hag. The team does drop off physically. So we had that in this game as well. The other problem for me, unfortunately, was Ten Hag's changes, because he makes changes which look like this. So in the first half, we were talking about patient possession play. We were then talking about, as we got to the final third, it's quick, but it's close. Our players are close to each other. It's interchanging movements. Xerxes link play. Amad, Bruno, Garnacho linking up together. Suddenly you bring Eriksen off, you bring Ugarte on. So you've lost your player that was pulling out wide to play the passes earlier. You've now lost that. You bring Amad off for eventually Marcus Rashford. Garnacho goes to the right. Xerxes comes off. Højlund comes on. We've lost those three technical players. Tactically, this changes things, because Ugarte essentially comes on and he doesn't take Eriksen's role. He actually takes Kobbie Mainoo's role. Kobbie Mainoo takes Eriksen's role. So let's say we're building up in the same way as we did in the first half. Kobbie Mainoo pulls wide into this space. Kobbie Mainoo is a great player. We all love him. I love him. But in terms of on the ball with a bit of time, he's not the same as Christian Eriksen. He's not going to get his head up and ping a pass forward or really thread it through the lines on a regular basis. He wants to operate, closer and shorter. Eriksen's more expansive. So that was a problem. United lost that sort of method of ball progression, plus Crystal Palace were better defensively. But it's then in the final third. You've lost your technicians. You've lost your players that suddenly want to operate close to each other. Suddenly, for some reason, we make this change where we move a little bit wider with our attacking approach. Rather than our players being close, they're suddenly wider. And honestly, I think that was the big issue for United. I felt that if we had maintained patience throughout the second half, we'd probably go on to win this game. I think we were good enough to win this game. I think the first half was brilliant. It's up there with my favourite football we've played under Ten Hag. I think it was really good. I just wish we had persisted with it. The second half, the intensity dropped. Palace made a couple of tweaks. United, again, I'll say it, just never got going. And then the subs were the wrong subs. We needed changes, yes. Fatigue comes into the game. We needed those changes. We had good players on the bench. But for me, you keep one of Amad or Xerxes on. I think it gives you a nicer balance. Again, I said that yesterday. We didn't do it. And I think that's ultimately what went wrong for United. But overall, to be honest, I would say it's positive. The performance was unbelievably positive. For an hour, United played great football. And there's something to build on. These players have to take their chances. But I do feel that Ten Hag coached to win. I do feel that. Ten Hag set United up to win. He got it right tactically for a large part of the game. The subs, perhaps not. Crystal Palace are a good team. They keep it tight. They make it difficult. It's not a terrible result. It's frustrating. But honestly, I would say be positive. This was largely good from United. It's largely good. So I think we're going to finish the video there because I obviously covered a lot of the game yesterday as well. So we're going to wrap it up there. So, yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.